What's up YouTube, it's CornishRatBeard and J4miePlays here, and we are back to bring you some more Star Trek New Horizons tips, tricks and tutorials. Now this time, we're going to be giving you our very own tier system for the Ascension perks and what we think of them.
Hello everyone, remember, these tiers are based on our opinions and the opinions of others from whom we got feedback. Maybe you see it differently, and if you do, please let us know in the comment section below what would you have put and in which tier.
Alright then, so we have categories for 3 different playstyles to show you, and those playstyles are going to be peaceful playthroughs, espionage and takes vassals playthroughs, and a more aggressive warlike playthrough. So for example, we would class the Federation as the peaceful playthrough, the Romulans, the Dominion or the Cardassians as sort of the espionage spy playthrough, who also love a good vassal, and of course the Klingons, now they are the warlike faction here. Right, okay, so with all that said, let's get started. The dreaded bottom tier. Now don't get me wrong, there's still useful perks here, but in all honesty, we wouldn't recommend using a valuable Ascension perk from this tier if you can help it. Actually, to make things more simple, me and Jamie have come to the conclusion that for all types of playthroughs, the bottom tier stays the same with the exception of one, which I'll get to in a moment. So I'm going to throw up the bottom tier for us to quickly go through. Space Fortress. Now this is obviously a star-based perk that offers a defense platform cap of +10. Now we think this just isn't worth spending an Ascension perk on. Remember guys, you only get 8 perks, so use them wisely and this would not be an optimal choice. The star bases can definitely look after themselves without this perk. Mark 25 Warp Sensor. So a +1 sensor range and a +1 planet sensor range and base intel level +5, definitely not worth it. A simple listening post here and there will benefit us a lot more here guys, and it won't cost us an Ascension perk. The base intel level +5 can be useful, but all in all you will get more than enough without the need to use a perk. World Shaper. Are we really in that much of a rush to terraform our planets? Using up an Ascension perk for what, -33% of the cost and +33% of the speed seems like a waste. Definitely avoid. Mastery of Nature. Now this one is almost on par with the latter perk. Again, I don't see the need to be rushing taking care of blockers. Once you have what you need on your planets, just come back to them and slowly start clearing the blockers. The extra +1 district could be handy, but it's hardly worth taking an Ascension perk for. Executive Vigor. At first glance, you may think, okay, this one's actually alright. Plus 100% edict duration and -25 edict cost is actually pretty good. So why is it in our bottom tier? Well, it's quite simple really. This would only benefit us in early game, and to be honest, there are much stronger Ascension perks needed as your first picks. So by the time you get around to getting this perk, you'll probably find you are doing great economy wise, which makes the benefits of this perk less desirable. Alright, so now for the one exception we have, and it's for the warlike faction. If you're in the mood for all-out war, then we figured you won't ever really need the +5 diplomats you get from the diplomatic core Ascension. You could argue the need for it to do some espionage, but generally, big strong factions such as the Klingons or the Borg, for example, don't mess with such things and would rather take the all-in approach regardless of the outcome. War is in these empires' bloodlines, and the need to spy before war can come across as cowardly, and there's no honour in that. Honestly, for an all-out war, there are much better perks to take.
Tier C. This tier consists of those perks that would be helpful to you, but not nearly as much as those in the top 2 tiers. For Tier C, no matter who you're playing and how you're playing, we recommend the 3 following perks in no particular order. Imperial Prerogative. Imperial Prerogative is an Ascension perk that automatically gives you +20% administrative capacity. While administrative capacity can be very important, many of the empires you'll be playing have gone over their administrative capacity rather early in the game, especially if you're playing one of the major empires. It's not difficult to continue your playthrough when you are over capacity. Really, the only thing that truly suffers is your research cost, which you can overcome if you have more research buildings and megastructures. It can be useful to get a bit of a boost in that regard, but there are Ascension perks that are a lot more useful. One Vision. Initially, One Vision looks like a great perk. You get 4 different things, including a decision for the price of 1 perk slot. However, that being said, what you get really isn't that good. Plus 10% Unity is the best part, which can also be obtained through research and jobs as well. The same is also true for pop amenities, which can be improved by a couple different research options. Governing ethics attraction increase of plus 50% also sounds nice, but ethics attraction just really isn't that important in Star Trek New Horizons unless you've just changed your government ethics. An example of this would be losing a war to an empire that forces you to change your ethics. This makes it more likely that Pop's Grown will be in line with your government ethics, but other than in that situation, it's not very helpful. The decision also sounds good as it encourages unemployed Pops to resettle to places with jobs, but you can also do this manually. Unemployment shows up in your outliner, and then you can move the Pop to exactly where you want. Mind over Matter. Mind over Matter increases the total amount of Unity gained per month by 25%, meaning you can get traditions faster. While this one doesn't sound bad, you can also do the same thing with Pop Jobs. The Ascension perk slot is also better used for something that will give you other effects, so we recommend only getting this one towards the end if you ever do. Now we come to a fork in the road. For peaceful empires and espionage or vassal-taking empires, we also have included Transcendent Learning in this tier. Transcendent Learning increases your leader level cap by +2, increases the experience gained by 50%, and increases the amount of leaders in their respective pools by +1. For warlike empires, this Ascension perk is actually a bit more useful, so we've included it in a higher tier. Instead, we put Shared Destiny in this spot. Shared Destiny increases the number of envoys by +2, and helps with integration and trust cap for your subjects. However, apart from the envoys, the rest is not very useful for an empire that never takes subjects, never has subjects. For espionage and vassal-taking empires and for war empires, we've also included aesthetic living in this category. It gives you -15% to pop amenity usage and housing usage as well, but this perk slot could be used for better things like making your ships harder to kill or increasing your naval capacity. For peaceful empires, the last perk we included in Tier C was Interstellar Dominion. This one gives a 30% reduction to claim influence cost and outpost influence costs. By the time you have all the perks in Tier A, the outpost influence cost will be worthless as everyone will have taken all of the systems by then. For peaceful empires, you also won't be claiming things from other empires, making this perk useless for them.
Okay, getting into the good stuff now. Tier B. Galactic Contender. Our first perk that we're going to look at is the same for all playstyle types, and that's Galactic Contender. We think this is a very useful Ascension perk and only just lost out, making it into our A tier list. The reason for it being so high is the extra +25 damage versus the Borg. It does offer +50 damage to Awakened and Fallen Empires, but that's not necessarily as useful. So the reason this perk doesn't make our top tier is because it's more positional and situational. If you're the other side of the galaxy or some distance away, this isn't a perk you would go after quickly, but if you find yourself getting closer to the Borg's borders and you have a spare Ascension perk, then definitely go ahead and grab this one. It could be a lifesaver. Eternal Vigilance. This one could be great for those defense bonuses that the starbases will receive with the Ascension perk, specifically starbase damage +25%, starbase hull points +25 defense, defense platform damage +25 defense, a defense platform cap of an increase of +5. All these great bonuses will definitely be something to think about for both the peaceful and the espionage factions at some point. This will really help shore up those borders and feel much safer while on a more peaceful path. Shared Destiny. So for this perk, you're going to receive +2 envoys. Subject integration influence cost is -50%. Your subject trust cap is +100. Now this is a good perk to consider for the peaceful playthrough due to the extra envoys and the massive +100 trust cap increase. Not so much with the subject influence cost decrease, but the other two alone get this perk into our second tier. This Ascension perk is not in the other playstyles in Tier B list. Aesthetic Living. This Ascension perk is very handy for the peaceful playthroughs. Its -15% to pop amenities and pop housing usage most definitely makes it one to look at. Obviously, this perk is less desirable for the other playstyles, which is why we decided to put this perk in their respective lower tiers. Fleet Maneuvers. This one makes our second tier for both the peaceful and espionage playthroughs. It's definitely one to pick up if you can squeeze it in. Even as a peaceful faction, you will always need to defend yourself. The plus 15% sublight speed, the plus 15% evasion, and the plus 10% ship fire rate, this perk will always be a welcome addition. Starbase Expansion. Now, the Starbase Expansion makes it to our second tier for both the espionage and the warlike factions here, guys. And what a great little perk it is. Let's have a look what it does for us. So Starbase upkeep is minus 15%, Starbase build speed is plus 25%, the module build speed is plus 25%, and the Starbase upgrade speed is also plus 25%. And if you think that wasn't enough, you're also going to be getting a plus 1 building slot. Now that's a lot of bang for your buck, but it only makes the second tier for these specific factions, and that's because we are always expanding our borders through war. So establishing long-term borders where these start bases would be most effective become a little bit more difficult to do. More offensive Ascension perks become more important in our opinion. Interstellar Dominion. This is another useful Ascension perk that allows to take advantage of the early expansion. With minus 30% to both Starbase influence and claim cost, makes this a great choice for those early rushers. Transcendent Learning. Leader level cap plus 2, leader experience gain plus 50%, leader pool size plus 1. This is actually a great Ascension perk for the warlike factions, as more specifically it allows our admirals to gain even more experience at a faster rate, which then counts towards their levels. The higher their levels, the more deadly they become, which will raise the military power of that fleet. An extra leader to choose from in the pool is also a nice touch here. Okay, so as you may have noticed, we had 6 perks for the warlike faction in tier D, so this means there will only be 4 Ascension perks in the tier B for the warlike faction.
At last, we're at the top tier. Tier A. These are the ones we recommend before getting any other Ascension perks from the lower tiers. For tier A, we also recommend you get these in a certain order, depending on which type of empire you are playing. However, we did agree completely that all empires should get the first same Ascension perk. Magic to make the sanest man go mad. This Ascension perk gives you plus 10% bonus to research and plus 2 research alternatives. Especially in the early game, it can give you quite a nice advantage. If you have this one from the beginning as well, you get the plus 10% bonus over the entirety of your playthrough, meaning you get the maximum benefit from it. You also have the 2 extra options for research, which means it's more likely that you will get the Starbase or ship upgrade research than without this perk. It's definitely worth it. For the second Ascension perk, for peaceful and espionage empires, we recommend Diplomatic Corps. As a peaceful empire like the Federation, you need to make as many friends as possible as early as possible. As an empire focusing on espionage like the Romulans, you need to know as much about as many neighbours as possible. The addition of 5 envoys fills both of these goals. This perk also increases other empires' opinion of you by plus 20. This could be the difference between them declaring war on you and not declaring war on you. Every little bit helps. For warlike empires, this isn't very useful. You don't care what people think about you, so the opinion bonus and the extra envoys aren't as useful. Instead, we would recommend the Galactic Force Projection perk as the second one for warlike empires. This perk gives you plus 150 to naval capacity and plus 50 to your fleet command limit. This translates directly into being able to support more ships and having more ships in your fleets to conquer your neighbours. This is a very powerful perk and very, very useful. The sooner you build those large fleets, the sooner you can invade and take over the galaxy. For this reason, we've also included it as the third perk for peaceful and espionage empires. If the warlike empires around you are building up their fleets, you should be doing the same, and this Ascension perk will definitely help you do that. For a warlike empire's third perk, we recommend Grasp the Void, which gives you 5 more starbases to use as you want. You could make them into anchorages and support even more fleets, balance your economy with solar panels, or build them to defend your empire while your fleets are out on a conquest run. They're very useful. For the same reason, we also recommend Grasp the Void as the 4th perk for both peaceful and espionage empires as well. For the 4th perk of Warlike Empires, you can't go wrong with Fleet Maneuvers, which gives you plus 15% to sublight speeds and evasion, as well as plus 10% to ship fire rate. Especially if those other empires don't want to be conquered and have built up their fleets, this edge to your ships can make all of the difference. Think of the nimbleness of the Klingon bird of prey. That is what you get with this perk. For the 5th perk for each playstyle, we recommend different perks. For a peaceful empire, we recommend Starbase Expansion, which has a lot of benefits. It decreases Starbase upkeys by 15% and increases by 25% Starbase build speed, the speed at which Starbase modules are built, and Starbase upgrade speed. It also unlocks 1 extra building slot. This lets you build an extra building, making your Starbase even more versatile. For vassal-taking empires, we recommend Shared Destiny, which gives you 2 extra envoys, decreases the influence cost to integrate subjects by 50%, and increases their trust of you by 100. This perk is really great for getting more vassals, and then making sure that they stay in line and do what you say once they're yours. For Warlike Empires, neither of these perks really rank very highly. Because of that, we recommend getting the Eternal Vigilance perk. Especially if you've sent your fleets to conquer your neighbours and left your starbases to defend everything, you want to make them the best they can be. Eternal Vigilance does that by increasing the damage of starbases and their defense platforms by 25%, increases the number of defense platform points each starbase has by 5, and increases the hull points of the starbase by 25%. This leaves you with a lean, mean fighting machine capable of holding off smaller enemy fleets entirely and delaying larger ones until your own fleets can arrive to wipe them out. Definitely worth the investment.
So we have gone through the tiers we recommend for each playstyle and when you should get them. For the eagle-eyed viewers out there, you may notice that there are a couple Ascension perks missing. Now we classify them in a special tier because it depends on how your game is going as to whether these are worth it for you.
The first one is Purge the Virus, which is related to the Undine. The Undine can terraform worlds and make them bioworlds that are better for them to live on. If the Undine have escaped fluidic space and are doing well in your game, it's likely that you'll have to fight them and take back some of those planets that they've terraformed. This perk gives you the ability to take them back and make them usable again. If the Undine are doing well in your game, I would recommend getting this perk when they start to become a problem for you. Naturally, if they aren't doing well and they have been defeated by the Borg, for example, or haven't left fluidic space, there's no point in getting this one.
So if you're playing as a Megacorp faction, then I would consider this as a top tier pick here, guys. You want to be making as much latinum as possible and as quickly as possible. Laying down branch officers on other worlds will be one of your top priorities. Now the AI, they are super fast at doing this, so having the edge on them will help you secure your branch officers. Also, as you will be making so many commercial packs, the buff that takes away the influence maintenance here is huge. Super good perk here, guys. We think it should be taken right after Diplomatic Corps and it's in the peaceful bracket. Alright guys, so we have gone through all the perks for Star Trek New Horizons with some brief explanations. I think we did alright. I'm going to pull up each category again for you to pause and have a look at if you so wish to. So tier A, we really recommend you try to follow what we have picked out for you, but again sometimes playthroughs take a funny turn and you may need different ones from a lower tier. But nonetheless, at least this is some kind of guide for you, especially the new players. You guys are the main ones that me and Jamie are reaching out to try and help. But more experienced players, please remember that not all of these will be where some of you think they should be. So why not help us out and the new players by commenting down below on what your tiers would look like, or even just tier A category. Get involved guys, it could only help, right?
Whether you agree or disagree, we hope that this has been informative and thought-provoking. Most of all, we hope it makes Star Trek New Horizons a little bit easier to navigate and to understand. We recommend watching our other tutorial videos or simply asking questions in the comments below to learn more.
Well guys, thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, make sure you give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to both of our channels. If you find you're struggling at all with Star Trek New Horizons, then please do check out our tips, tricks and tutorials playlist linked in the description below and at the end of this video.
We also have a Discord server we call The Collective. We discuss everything from these videos to Star Trek in general to what we're having for Sunday lunch. We also make our announcements there as well, and organise multiplayer games that you can play with us. You can join our collective using the link in the description below.
The collective must grow.
Alright, that's it from us for now.
See you next time.
Make it so.